With a successful trilogy of games on the Game Boy Advance and their successful ports on the Nintendo DS, some people in Japan noticed and decided that they wanted to try and bring this crazy world to the big screen. So let's see if the Ace Attorney movie is worth it. Gyakuten Saiban, or Turnabout Trial, released in Japan in 2012. It was later called the Ace Attorney movie in the West to line up with the games. The sub of this movie also uses the English names for the characters such as Phoenix Wright instead of Ryuichi Naruhodo, which is pretty cool. This movie is loosely based on the first game, pulling the main plot and trials from there, but changing it all around to better suit the pace and style of this movie. Which I'm happy about. It's not a straight copy and paste job. There's a lot of originality here. Now it's going to be hard to not reference the game when I talk about this movie, but for the first part, I'll just focus on the movie. So we follow Phoenix Wright in the year 20XX. Due to an abundance of crime, Japan has needed to change its court system. Now a trial can only last a maximum of 3 days and a verdict has to be declared by the end. Now, unless sufficient evidence can be proven, the person on trial will be guilty, so it's a guilty until proven innocent system. Phoenix Wright is a new law attorney and he is trying to help the people. Under the tutelage of Mia Fey, his world is going to change pretty darn soon. He learns that crime is so prevalent that it will hit pretty close to home. Now he must prove his worth as an attorney and even beat the undefeated Miles Edgeworth. Should be easy, right? I have to say that it's always super strange to see an anime style of character played by real people, but for the most part they look pretty good. Even though they are dressed a little silly with their sillier hairstyles, they're not bad. It's stylized. I love the look of Phoenix. The actor Hiroki Narimiya looks great and carries this film. He is always just putting his all in, but his acting can be a little bit strange at times. When he is distressed, his face goes through like every shape imaginable, and it just looks so silly, but you can't take your eyes off of it. Miles Edgeworth, played by Takumi Saito, has such a fantastic resting bitch face. I love it. I don't like his wig though, it isn't particularly good, otherwise he keeps the spirit of the character alive. The only character I don't think was good from the cast was Maya, played by Mirai Kiratani. She is barely present in the film, and when she is around, she's not doing a whole lot. She fades into the background despite what she's wearing, and is not a fun, bubbly person like the games are. Oh, and there's also Larry Butts, and he annoyed the hell out of me, but that's the point of his character, so I guess job well done. The plot, like I mentioned earlier, follows some of the ideas in the games, but they are very different. Cases are in different orders. Hell, the third case, the Silver Samurai, is exclusively done by Edgeworth in the movie, and he proves the guilty party, just to show that he's amazing. And that leads me to the first and biggest issue I have with the movie. They take away Phoenix's accomplishments. That was a major case for him in the games, but he doesn't get to do it here. His first case, representing Larry, isn't even solved by him. He gets to that point where the big twist is going to be there, but he falters and Mia has to come in and solve the case for him. Why would they do that? It makes his dependence on Mia more of a thing, I guess, but it takes away from him and his character, especially his cleverness. The way Phoenix will turn about a case is the name of the movie/series, but most of this is done away with. That is amplified in the courtroom, as his other cases kind of feel like he's just getting lucky and he's not actually figuring things out. He just doesn't seem as competent as he should be. During the investigation sections, he doesn't do much in many of them, so once again, just not competent. That mixed with the acting of craziness in court just doesn't sell me on the character as much. The tone was the other major change from the games, and that has pros and cons as well. The movie is set in a much more realistic realm, but the spiritual stuff, well, that's just weird and scary as hell. When I turned on the movie, I thought I was watching the wrong thing. I thought I was watching a horror film. It's just absolutely insane. Later on, when Maya gets possessed, it's also pretty scary. Then the goofy, forgettable boat guy from the final case looks like a homeless serial killer here. So all of these changes are not bad, but they do cast a more serious tone over the whole film. My problem is, it still uses the silly and wacky ideas found in the cases, like there's a Loch Ness monster named Gordy, and that just doesn't quite mesh that well. If it had used original cases, I think this probably would have worked better. Some scenes were also put in at seemingly random times. It would cut to a new scene without context and it would go to another just as quickly. Now, as I know these are meant to tie into the final case, I understood their intent, but the execution is pretty woeful. There is also one scene where Phoenix, Maya, and Gumshoe, who is great by the way, I should mention him, they're talking in secret. So they're shrouded in shadow, you know, it's a classic idea. But this scene goes on for like 2 or 3 minutes and there are no other shots, so it comes off as a little dumb. I don't actually get to see any of the acting. It's artsy, but bad. Lastly, the Blue Badger is here, and I think it's meant to be funny, but it just comes off as really strange. And is this a goof? It looks like there's someone in the suit, but then no one's in the suit, and it moves. I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying attention. The movie has very little music, which I thought was odd. A few scenes that are meant to feel tense instead felt a little flat without some music to build up that mood. When the music is there though, it's great. They use a mixture of original tracks and new rendition of the game songs, so I liked the music. I just wanted more of it. One thing that this movie does add, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, was the expansion of the final case's culprit. The game tells you its backstory, and yes, it's sad for sure, but the movie shows it to you and it dives really far into it. Man, it makes me feel so sad for this person, and that was probably my favorite addition to the film. In my opinion, Ace Attorney the movie is not worth it. So I watched this after playing the game, and I know lots of things changed to make this a reality, and honestly, it's probably one of the better video game movies out there, all things considered, but I just did not like it. The serious, dour tone with frightfully scary elements was just too far removed from the slightly goofy cases and characters. Phoenix, the main character, is not as interesting thanks to being undermined in all of his cases and investigations. When I looked at the movie online, it has a lot of people that actually like it, and I can see why, especially if you have no prior knowledge of the games, but to me, I just don't think it was that good. The absolute worst part is, at the end of the film, they have this teaser of what's to come in Phoenix's future, and it is silly and fun, and that's what I thought the film was going to be like, but it's just for the end for this little throwaway moment. Well, hopefully the anime can scratch my itch for a moving adaptation that does Phoenix justice. So guys, tell me what you thought about the Ace Attorney film. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you watch this blind or after playing the games? And what did you honestly think about it? Also, as an aside, I found this really hard to watch and find online in Australia, so, you know, that's a thing. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!